We are here with James Maida, who is the CEO and a principal of Gaming Laboratories International, or simply GLI, as the world knows. And James, it's always a delight to have you here.
It's great to be back, Frank. We've been doing this a lot of years. It's fun.
And we've got to thank you because GLI is our global sponsor this year at the content that we produce. So everything that we do, the CEO one-on-ones, all the at-booth interviews, is partly because we're able to afford it because James is paying for it.
I'd also say I think a lot of our people at GLI love the Fantini report. We all get it on our phones every night, and it tells us what's going on before we have to hear about it the next morning. So we thank you for that as well.
Well, you can thank me, but thank those folks out there because as you know, I'm sort of semi-retired, I guess it is.
Whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And then the important thing is that to mention is as this interview is taking place, the New York Mets are leading the Philadelphia Phillies 1-0 in the playoffs. And I mentioned to James that was a tragedy, and he admitted he is
a Mets fan, absolutely.
And
ever since I was born, yes.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But James, that aside,
yes,
it's been a busy year for GLI. Tell us what you've accomplished this past year and where you go from here.
Well, it's our 35th anniversary this year, so we've accomplished great things. I was able to start the year opening our new office in Noida in India, and got to travel around India and meet with suppliers and our staff, and that was wonderful. We celebrated our Regulators Roundtable, the largest regulatory event in the world, in which we bring regulators in from all over the world, and right here in Las Vegas. And we've been really celebrating 35 years. We were able to acquire Tri-Sigma, a lab in Barcelona, which is just a great fit with GLI. That's after we acquired iTech and SIQ in the previous 2 years. So really happy to have them on board. And, we're now, our main focus really this year, our 35th year, is how do we keep it rolling, right? And we've just put in process a process to hire 120 additional test engineers globally. And we are really working on making sure that we're on time, on budget, and always giving the highest quality to regulators. Quality is our number one thing, but we want to make sure that we do it in a timely fashion because the industry keeps exploding and the technology keeps coming, and we have to keep going as fast as we can go.
Tell us a little bit more about your acquisitions because you've been busy in that.
We look around the world. We have a team that looks for acquisitions. Really the most important thing when we look for acquisitions is do they have our same value set? And are they focused on quality? Are they focused on being regulatory centric? Are they focused on the customer or the supplier? Because we know that often we might stand between the supplier and the time to market, and we're really focused on that. And so every time that we find an acquisition candidate, we really put it through that lens. And Frank, we look at probably 10 to 15 acquisitions a year, and if we do one, we're lucky. So we really think a lot about it.
Since you are so busy acquiring and building, does that mean that the opportunity to sell is not on the table?
I really love what I'm doing. I get to do this for 35 years. I feel I can go for a lot more years. We never take anything off the table, but it is important that we're thinking about what does GLI look like in the next 35 years. We have a great management team around the world, and so it's less about James Maida, less about Paul Magno, less about who any of us that started the company about, but it's really about how do we make GLI world-class, continue to make it world-class, but what do we look like 35 years down the line? So that's really what I'm focused on, not so much about me and my mortality, let's just say.
Well, I won't ask you about the next 35 years, but I might ask you the next 3 to 5 years. How do you see the industry evolving? Because technology is changing so rapidly. And how do you see GLI evolving with it?
Well, I think that I tell people all the time, we don't make anything. We We don't make the products. The suppliers have to make the products. So we're always working a little bit from behind because they have to come up with the new technology. We do spend a lot of time, Frank, as you know, we have over 100 people in our development area that travel around the world and go to inside the studios and the suppliers and really want to know what they're working on. So I would say that one of the things that we're starting to see is, where does gambling converge with gaming? Social gaming, but also, this year, Prize Picks, fantasy sports, daily fantasy. We're starting to get into some areas here where the law isn't quite fleshed out, and we're going to need some court cases and some new legislation. And so I think the next several years is all about how does mainstream gambling industry that we know, where and how does it meet the gaming industry, like the Activision, Blizzard and Activision and those companies. So I think we're in a way that we're starting to merge together with that. And it'll be interesting to see how regulators and legislatures deal with that.
But we've actually seen that historically,
Yes.
that, gaming is no longer the individual physical property on a highway somewhere. Where they've got iGaming, and now we have, non-gambling gaming. And
Right.
And I imagine the day is going to come when it's just one big entertainment.
Well,
And this,
I think, Frank, we also should look at what lotteries are doing. You know that lotteries are doing iLottery. Lotteries are getting into the technology wave, and they don't print scratch. Some of them just continue to print scratch tickets, but lots of technology coming to the lottery. And I think we're just in a big convergence right now, and we stand at the crossroads to make sure that every good idea gets its day at the lab. We get it tested, we get it certified. We work really closely with regulators, operators, and suppliers, and we don't pick winners or losers. We want everybody to be a winner. We want to get that technology out as fast as we can, but never sacrificing quality. So quality, I might talk about speed or I might talk about customer service, but quality is what defines GLI, and that is our touchstone, our North Star, integrity and quality, and then that we never lose.
in talking about all this change, one of the things that's driving this, and the buzzword of the year in virtually every industry now, is artificial intelligence. How do you see that being applied, and what are some of the risks as well as the opportunities?
I think artificial intelligence is not new. I know that it's new when it came out last November with ChatGPT and whatnot. We have been in a world of artificial intelligence for some time, whether it's your player card and trying to figure out how much you're gambling and what type of games. We've had server-based gaming where they knew who the player was and what their experience was, and they would serve up certain games to that player. So we have been in, the early innings of artificial intelligence. I think that will continue to expand as data expands. And I think that's the key thing that we think about is how much data can operators and the suppliers capture. Years ago, we didn't even know what the most popular game is now. Now we know that every month or every week they put up the top games, and that data is shared because it's actually collected. There are risks, though. I think that we want to make sure that problem gambling is always at the forefront, and that we're not using AI to harm individuals, right? And I always think that it's important for the gaming industry to self-police itself, because you don't want to invite outside people. And so we're continuing to look at artificial intelligence, with regulators and with operators and with suppliers, and we've been testing a lot of it in the operator setting. And the real question will be, when is it used in a good way and when is it used in a harmful way? I can also tell you artificial intelligence is good around underage, around geolocation, also around cashless wagering, anti-money laundering. So there's a lot of good things that we can get and regulators can get from artificial intelligence. But we just have to be careful about how it's used.
One of the issues I know that's important to you right now is cybersecurity. So tell us.
It is. We think, again, cybersecurity is too many newspaper articles are about casinos and others being hacked or ransomware, right? And that causes the industry to lose a bit of credibility. And so we think that if you're in the gaming industry and if you're a casino operator, you have to provide some level of cybersecurity. So rather than wait for an outside government, federal government agency or state government agencies where we have a patchwork of these regulations, GLI has recently gone out for public comment, and it's still early on public comment, about a gaming infrastructure security. It's a gaming security framework where we'll be able to talk about what is the minimum standards required for gaming machines, for gaming systems, for lotteries, for charitable gaming and whatnot. And so we're trying to bring together the industry in a way that can have some minimum standards. And it's out for comment right now. We're getting a lot of great comments back, and more people are commenting. We don't want to make it some onerous standard, but we just don't think it should be a very easy standard. So I think regulators, operators, suppliers, we're all having this conversation right now about that. And we think we're going to have a great product out as we start rolling out these specific frameworks dealing with the specific types of games.
Okay. Any other trends that in the industry you'd like to address?
I think you touched on all of them, right? Artificial intelligence, where gambling and gaming converge. So it's really gaming, gambling, lotteries. And I think we still have to put in this idea of illegal gambling or unregulated gambling or untaxed. I know the AGA talks a lot about that. You know, where do all of these roads intersect, right? How do we regulate or tax or, forms of gambling that are traditionally not been? Should we allow them to operate independently outside of the gaming regulation umbrella? If you let that happen, and we see cases in Florida right now, Pennsylvania, and other places, it takes from the legalized gambling industry. So I think we just all have to get on the same page. I think there should be a single rule for everybody, and either you're in the box or you're out of the box.
We're at GLI. We're at GLI. We're at G2E.
Yes.
And GLI is at G2E. What should folks see when they come to your booth?
So our booth, we don't have obviously product in our booth, but what we have is we have a collection of over 60 people from around the world. So just this morning, I had somebody walk up and ask about regulations in Macau, and we have our Macau expert there. We have our team's regulatory jurisdictional experts from Europe and from Africa and from Australia. You'll be able to come and talk to us about the new Cobratron products that we've come out with. Easiest ways to validate software and gaming machines on the floor without disrupting them. You'll be able to speak to our experts. We have our engineering, our head of delivery is there, and with all of those that provide testing services to all the various suppliers on the floor. So you'll be able to come to our stand and it's one-stop shop. Whether you're an operator or regulator or a supplier, we've had them all there all day today. Incredibly great foot traffic today.
Sounds like a great show.
It's great. Every year it is. 35 years I've been at the show. So
Congratulations.
Great. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Good to see
James.
you. Thank you.